Okay, after recording this video twice and having the audio not work at all because I used the wrong microphone, let's hope that third tries the charm here. I generally tried to make yesterday's video a little bit more serious and a little more focused on the actual discussion than I generally have with daily videos. Just sort of focus on this topic that was bouncing around my head a lot. I think I did a pretty good job, but there were a few things that ended up distracting me. Like that loud-ass thunder that just scared me to hell and back. In the end, that's something that's held... Holy shit, did you guys hear that lightning? There's also a pretty odd moment in the gameplay that I didn't see that many people commenting on. When I was dueling Tryndamere top lane, and he killed me as I started an animation for a Q and threw it out, and then it ended up killing him even though I had already died and he sent me into my blobs. I was in a Skype call with a few people on my team, and one of the players saw what happened top lane and said, "Hang on, did anyone just see what happened to Zach there?" And I jokingly responded, "It's the skin, man, pay to win." League has actually had a surprising amount of debate over the years on whether there's any pay-to-win elements incorporated into the game, and skins have been a pretty big culprit of that. I'm not talking about bugs or anything like that, but like, do you guys remember when the I Blitzcrank skin had basically an invisible Q because the particles were so, they like blended in with the terrain so well, you basically didn't see when the Q was coming and where it was coming from. It took a while for Riot to add more of those red sparkly things to make it more visible to players. Generally, they're pretty good at staying on top of stuff like that, but in the end, whenever you add any sort of new animation into the game, it can really change things up. Animations have a pretty big effect on the game in a lot of ways. Like, do you guys remember that Warrior Kingdom's Katarina skin? I think that's what it's called. It's the skin where Katarina starts off the backing animation by throwing a knife, and there was a Korean player that used that mid lane against a Yasuo and a Riven to try and bait them out from using their defensive abilities, the Yasuo W and the Riven E, by like making it look like she was throwing her Q out at them. I actually don't even know if that's been patched yet. It doesn't even have to be an animation with something that's so obviously broken in it. It can just be changing any sort of animation with a champion on a new skin. I'm not really Satan or anything, so I don't really play Teemo often, but I got that Omega Squad Teemo skin when it first came out because it looked pretty cool, but the auto attack animation for that skin feels really awkward and clunky to use when you compare it to the normal real Teemo skins. It may seem like a small change or something, but that small change can have a really big effect in the game. It can also work the opposite way too, like Rumble, his original skins, I can't really use them, it feels like, because the way that his mech moves is so annoying, how clunky it is, how it feels like bolts are like popping out of it. You know what I mean? It feels very clunky and awkward to move. But that Super Galaxy Rumble skin, or whatever it's called, that really cleaned up the animations. It feels much more nice to move around, much nicer to use abilities and everything. I don't know, I can't really play Rumble without that skin. Maybe it's some sort of weird mental thing. I think there's a sizable number of people in the community that agree with me, though. I remember back when that Vladimir skin, Bloodlord Vladimir, was released, people were really upset because it changed the auto attack animation to be much nicer and easier to use, or at least people claimed, than the default Vladimir skins, and people said it was pay to win in that way. Conversely, with Cho'Gath, back when the Battlecast Prime Cho'Gath skin came out, people were really upset because it really was kinda awkward how its animations were so different from the normal Cho'Gath skin. It can go both ways, pay to win or pay to lose, I guess. I always get a little bit surprised, though, when people outside of League of Legends complain about having to unlock champions and rune pages and runes through playing the game and say that the game is pay to win like that. Having more champions does not inherently mean that you are going to do better in League of Legends. It's all about knowing how to play your champion and how to do well with them. A 450 IP champion can easily kill a 6300 one. It's all based around skill, right? I actually kind of like having to unlock champions. When you have to devote a resource, whether it's IP or spending $5 on RP, to buy a champion, then you sort of really feel much more committed to that champion. You have a small pool of champions and you make sure that you learn the ins and outs of each one before you move on to the next one. I don't know, I kind of like the system, and I don't think Riot's ever going to change it. I think it was my last Did You Know episode that I mentioned that Riot actually didn't create their RP and IP system. They hired a third-party company to create their RP and IP system for them, a company that specializes in that kind of thing. It's a system that made them literally $1 billion last year, and it's kind of their bread and butter on how they monetize League of Legends, so I feel like it's something that they'd be super super resistant to change. Even if it could use some updating, I mean, it really does take forever to buy anything that costs 6,300 IP or like a new rune page or getting all your runes. It can be pretty frustrating as a newer player when you don't have a huge IP bank like all the pros and streamers do. I don't know. I still think all those Dota 2 fanboys and everyone that says League is somehow a pay-to-win game are out of their mind. But who knows? Maybe they're right. Maybe I only do well on Aurelia because I have all the best skins. See, that's what not backing gets ya. Anyway, those are all my thoughts for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching today's video, and I will see you all tomorrow. But until then, good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.